Morning, Antioch. Everybody, how's everybody doing today? Fine. All right. So, let's see. So, today is a beautiful day. Today is June. I'm already trying to get to July. But today is June 13th, Sunday, June 13th. We are getting ready to start. Well, we already started lesson 6, which is in the pit with the lion on a snowy day. Again, I'm glad to be here today. Glad to be in the place of the Lord, and glad to have woke up today. All right. Today we have myself, Deacon Tony, and Brother Wesley helping us out today. Like I said a couple of days ago, I probably want to see if I can get some interchangeable men to come up before we try to break off in classes. If we're going to do that, we yet to think if we were going to do that or not. But as of right now, we're still doing the regular class, which is everybody together for right now. All right. So let me see, Deacon Tony, can you pray us in?
Please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, come here today and say thank you. Thank you for letting us see another day. Help us as we go through this lesson to clear our minds and clear our hearts, that we learn to accept the discipline that you give us. We learn to accept all the pitfalls and trials that you bring our way. That we don't like them and we can't hardly deal with them, but we need those because this helps make us better people and help us lead us into a better life. Help us to realize that no problem is too big for you, or no situation is out of control for you. It might be for us, but for you, all things are possible. But we have to put our trust and faith in you. Teach us to be better disciples, Lord, that we can go out and spread the word and help others who are struggling during these times, that they can learn how to deal with it. But the only way they can deal with it first, accepting their mistake, and then giving it all to you. As I come to the close, I want to say thank you, and may God bless all of us.
Amen. So today, getting started off with Deuteronomy 8 and verse 5. It talks about obedience. So I'll give you guys some time to get that. Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 5. And again, I'm happy to see people here today. I'm glad to see everybody coming in. I have not yet found out if we're going to have mandate is going to change here for the church, but as far as right now, everybody's still masked as far as I know. I guess Pastor puts that up later on today during church. But as of now, Deuteronomy, this chapter in this verse is basically talking about obedience, and that's a hard pill to swallow for some of us. Being obedient in God's eyes is difficult. Am I right? Mm-hmm. Now, those of y'all that had some rough times when you were younger, like Freddie said he was bad, so he was disobedient when he was younger, and like I said, I know I was. And what about you, Deacon Tony?
There's always some disobedience in all of us, bro. I might get by a little more than anybody, but I paid the price one way or the other.
All right. What about you, Brother Wesley?
Sure thing. I remember I was spoiled because I wanted things, and sometimes my mother would get into it with me because I cried when I was a kid. Sometimes as a little kid, something I wanted, and she wouldn't buy because gonna wait till Christmas or something. I want it now, and so it's jacked me up. I gotta get upset. I'd be crying hard downtown because I wish she was back. You know what I'm saying? So I had sin in my heart as a child.
Right. What about anybody out there? How was y'all disobedient a little bit when y'all were younger? James said no. You was the angel? You was the angel?
No,
That's what I said. Were you disobedient?
no,
Oh, you said no, you wasn't?
I wasn't disobedient.
Oh.
I wasn't an angel either, but I wasn't disobedient. I knew the law.
You knew the law? It's fair to ride, right? Being disobedient. Now, you know, we all learn though. We all learn. In Deuteronomy, as you can see up there on the board, it says, "Know then in your heart that as a man disciplines his son, so the Lord God disciplines us." Us. And we've been disciplined a lot of times in the Lord. Am I right? Am I right? And we do things that we know that we shouldn't be doing, and we do it anyway. Being disobedient and knowing what's the right way to go when it's to go. We still choose to be out in the world and do the things our way, right? Right? We've been doing things our way for a lot of years. But doing it in God's eyes, God says He does discipline you in His time. You know, you might think you can get away with it, but eventually it's gonna catch up with you. It always does.
You know, we always talk about how the goodness of the Lord, how He blesses us and do this and that for us, but like He says right here, He also disciplines you. You being a child of His when you do wrong, or when you're going off the strong, beaten path, the wrong path, you know. So it's a good thing. We don't like it. I don't like it, but it's necessary to save our lives a lot of times, and mainly to save our souls. So we have to have guidelines and rules to go by, because without them, look over what happened. Just like in the world today. The reason why the world today is like it is, which is a general term I'm saying, of course I'm generalizing, but it's lack of discipline in all areas. And you see what happened with the world today. It's in total disarray. The country's in total disarray. And always because of no discipline.
Right.
A lack of discipline, not following rules, or set them as it fits you. You can't set them as it fits you, you have to set it. It has to stay consistent.
It has to be consistent, right?
Can't change the rules in the middle of the game each time to suit you, you know?
Right. But you know, we still get in our ways where we think that we know more than what the next person does, and and the Lord, He gives you that SWAT, right? He gives you that SWAT. SWAT on the rear end. How many SWATs you had when you was in the military? You know, how many SWATs have you had, discipline-wise? So, let's see. Obedience. What does obedience mean, though? What does being obedient mean, you, Brother Freddie?
I think it means trying to comply with the rules or the laws, or even the rules of your house when growing up. You got to comply, was supposed to comply to them. And then as you get your house, you set rules and you expect your kids to
respect you?
Yeah.
To be obedient. But again, how many, what happens when you were growing up and you said, you were being disobedient, and then now here comes your son and he's being a bit disobedient. What can you say to him? Cause I've been around some people one person in particular, he said, well, I did it, so why should I tell him not to do it? And that ain't right, and they were doing some stuff. He said, well, I did it, why should I tell my son not to do it?
That's stupid logic.
That's stupid logic, right? Right.
Obedience from the Bible means that you follow certain rules and directives. Those same things are placed in society. If you didn't have those restrictions, everybody would be doing what they want to do, when they want to, and for how long.
Right.
And you will have chaos.
Right.
And if you have chaos, you don't have a society. Therefore, you have to follow some rules. And God said you need to do this, 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 and this in order to be my child and in order to win a place in heaven and have an everlasting life.
Right.
And without that, you can't.
Right.
It's just that simple.
Right.
I don't care what I did. It doesn't matter.
And that's just what it is. I don't care. Go ahead.
And the prime example of being disobedient is during this COVID, where the president and governor of each state has ordered their people to do certain things, and those that refuse, has spread the disease to other people and caused death among people by not following
Following the rules.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you can say all day long, as they say, I'm a grown man. I'm a grown woman. I'm 21 years old. I can do whatever I want to do. And being disobedient. And some people think that when they try to talk back to you, it's not talking back. They think they're just trying to get their point across. It's just being disobedient. They think, trust me, I've had it. My son is 17 now, and he done spouted off, and I'm like, dude, do you understand that that's being disrespectful? I'm just trying to tell you how I felt. I understand that. I understand that I understand what you're saying, but you're still being disrespectful. Not knowing. And it's, sometimes it's confusing for these kids that's growing up in the world today, because they see the stuff that they see on the streets, they see it at other people's houses, and they try to mimic it.
Yeah.
They try to mimic it. Well, let me try to test my mom and my dad to see if I can do it like this. And knowing that it's wrong, they still try to do it. Now, again, I've done it too, growing up and thinking I can get past this, past my mom. And no, it ain't gonna work. It ain't work. She got that switch. My grandmother had them switches, and they want to twist them switches together, and that's it.
A good example of that is in 1 Samuel, when Samuel was dealing with Saul. When God told Saul to go into this country and take over his people and destroy everything, Saul thought it was in his interest, well, why destroy some of this good stuff, the good cattle, the good jewelry and all that? And he kept some of it for himself. And then, of course, Saul, the prophet told him, how to sacrifice. Obedience is better than sacrifice.
Obedience is better than sacrifice.
Because you have to obey first.
You have to learn to.
All the things we do, if we don't obey, it doesn't matter. We do 100 good things, but if we fail to obey what God has already said,
Right.
we didn't already said.
Right.
So it's just important to have obedience. That means follow exactly word for word what God said. Don't do it because you hear the 9 things, but that one thing you want to keep for yourself. That's what gets us in trouble. We want to interpret the law our way instead of what God directly said.
Right.
When He said, just do not kill, do not kill. And it could be, and that person could be a bad person, but He said not to kill him.
Right.
There's something different than somebody trying to attack you and try to kill you, but when He said not to kill it or kill that or whatever, don't do it.
Right.
Because like as we know in Ecclesiastes, there's a time and place for everything. But the thing is that we need to learn to follow completely what God says. In order for us to be His child, you need to follow it. As your parents, if you didn't follow what your parents say, as kids, we know we have to pay a price.
Right.
And everything you do, if you don't do what it's supposed to do, it's the price you pay. You might get by for a minute, but it always catches you somewhere in the end.
It's always gonna catch up to you. Always gonna catch up to you. Always gonna catch up to you.
And no man likes to hear the word obedient. Like I said, when I was 21 years old, I want to hear somebody say, you got to do this or you got to listen. But if you don't, it's the price you pay. We can be stubborn or hard-headed or whatever. Like old people say, you smell yourself or whatever. But there's always a price you pay on anything.
Smelling yourself. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. But again, we all been there. But again, listening to what God is telling you. Some people say, God told me, I need to do this, and I need to do this, and then you try to tell this to somebody else, and then, of course, they look at you like you're crazy, But when God speaks to you, when the Lord speaks to you, You have to learn to be able to listen and grasp and be obedient to what he's telling you. You know, stop trying to go around the situation. Stop trying to go around what he's trying to tell you. If he tells you, no, I don't think you should do this. You know, you don't need this promotion right now. You can't handle it. You know, but, you know, sometimes it comes through people and your friends look at you and say, bro, I don't think you need this job. I don't think you want to do that. You know, I don't think you should be doing that, man, because it's wrong. And sometimes God speaks through people and you just don't want to hear it. We just do. We just don't want to hear it. Man, okay, so now I see you ain't trying to have my back. I want somebody here that's going to have my back. And that's what happens. That's what we do. And then we turn our back on the person who's trying to help us. You know, we do it. It's embedded in us to try to do what we think is right. You know, we're trying to do things what we think is right instead of thinking well, what God is telling me or directing you to do.
And you know, as Christians, I think for me personally, being self-discipline or being obedient is the hardest thing for me as a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Because it always forces, like Christ does, to deny yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And to deny yourself, but we have a purpose when we deny ourselves, to be children of God. Mm-hmm. But it's a tough thing because you constantly challenge over and over, day to day, hour by hour, minute by minute, actually. Mm-hmm. That to be obedient and disciplined is you deny yourself and you're doing what's for the greater good. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the toughest thing for me. I don't know about anybody else, but for me,
it is.
Because anybody can come with you, it's easy to listen to someone else's discipline, but to be able to discipline yourself when no one's around, when no one's there, you know, to do the right thing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you're not gonna get no great rewards, no pat on the back and all this and that. Don't expect that. And after you might get criticized still. Yeah. But we have to do this for this whole thing to work.
Yeah. 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 So we're gonna go ahead and go to 2 Corinthians 4:16.
Corinthians or Chronicles?
Corinthians. What did I say? I said Chronicles? I'm sorry, Corinthians.
Yes,
2 Corinthians 4:16. You want to read that, Brother West?
Corinthians 4:16. For this reason, we never become discouraged, even though our physical being is gradually decaying, yet our spiritual being is renewed day after day.
Our spiritual renewal comes daily. Daily. Comes daily. What is that? What does that verse mean to you? What does that verse mean to you when it says that? Therefore, we do not lose heart, though outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly, inside, we are being renewed day by day. What does that mean? What does that mean? You're being renewed. So if you're in the pit, when you're down and out, do you wake up? Do you spiritually inward? Are you trying to wake up still in the pit, or are you trying to say, okay, you know, yesterday was over. This is a new day. We're starting off fresh. It's a new day. Is that what you try? Is that what we try to do?
Well, you continue to recover. You continue to recover day by day.
Day by day. Mm-hmm. Day by day.
And it's up to us to share our deliverance, to maybe help somebody else.
To maybe help somebody else. So you don't have to stay down, Brother Wesley. You don't have to stay down, right?
And this is part of the renewal. Us coming here on Sunday. Mm-hmm. We filling up our tank because it just says you wear out. You wear down. Mm-hmm. Being humans, you know, the waves and pressures and trouble of the world will wear you down and run you out of gas, you know, that you're just willing to give up. Mm-hmm. So this studying, this praying, this talking we're doing, we're meeting every Sunday or whatever, Wednesday night, all this is to help renew our spirits.
Right. Coming together, encourage you. All you all great encouragers to me. I encourage you.
Well, we have to learn to be encourage each other. But understanding that the Lord renews your spirit every day. You don't have to wake up with the same gloom that you went to bed with. You do not have to wake up with the same gloom, because guess what? He's giving you air. He's giving your heart is pumping. So we're in 2 Corinthians 4:16. 2 Corinthians 4:16.
But in order for him to do that, you have to have your heart and mind focused on him to do that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not focused and looking toward his way, it will not be renewed or refreshed day by day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes we look at other things or look at the other situations to do that.
Right. Right.
And then we wonder why it's not being done. It's because we're not looking toward his way
Mm-hmm.
or putting our faith and trust in him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We're not letting go. You know, let it go. Whatever happened yesterday is in the past. You know, whatever happened the day before that is in the past. You got to learn to let it go. But we try to hang on to the bad thing. We have to try to hang on to, this is what happened to me. This is what you did to me. And this is why we're so angry. When we get angry at somebody who we know we love, we hold on to that anger. You know, how do you handle somebody who has, if you know somebody has depression and they say something negative to you, do you hold on to what they said to you on Monday, knowing that they were probably in a depressed state? Do you do that? Is it hard for us to do?
It is. Because if something hurts, I'm going to throw that rod right back at him, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I want to let him know what I think, but that's not the right answer.
Right.
That's the worldly way of doing things.
Right.
We need to think in the spiritual part of the way of doing it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That it's really not, a lot of times not the person, but the hurt and the pain the person is speaking out through words.
Right. Right.
But we have to be in the right frame of mind to realize it, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Somebody doing something to you, learn to let it go. Stop hanging on to the past. Learn how to let it go. Because God is, again, like it just said in 2 Corinthians 4:16, He's renewing your spirit every day. He's renewing your spirit every day. Every day. But it's difficult though, isn't it? It's difficult. It's nothing that we can just automatically turn on and turn off. It's difficult.
And then some days you have a better grasp of it than other days.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on sometimes, a lot of times how your day is going.
Right.
Whether you can handle it or not.
Right.
If you already had a bad day and then it's fellow brothers still come out with lashing out, you probably far back.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
But in days you have a good day, you know how to deal with it.
Right. Right.
And like I say, you're always not going to be able to have a good handle on it, but we need to just focus and try harder to do better with this. I want to look at this thing where it says, though outwardly we're wasting away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day. So this shows that our human body, here 70 years plus, you blessed, you know? Because anything beyond 70 years is a blessing from God anyway. So, you know, but it shows, but your soul lives on.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a child of God. So it's saying that it's going to be eternal, you know?
Right.
But we know the physical body is only here temporarily.
Mm-hmm.
Each day probably new crip or crap or whatever, a limp or whatever, a pop or, you know, in our bodies. But we know daily, but from a spiritual thing, our spirit lives on.
Right. Right. Right.
So day by day, we hate to say it, we die a little bit each day.
We do. We do.
So that's just a fact of life. If you live long enough, it's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
And you gotta realize too, as you get older, there are things that you used to do that there are some things that you can't do.
Right.
I used to run the 100-yard dash in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Man, I can't run it in 10 minutes probably.
Yeah. And you hear this, we used to talk about the quote, the 50 is the new 40 and all that. You get out there and try to do what you try to do, and you find out the next day what the new what is still
Yeah.
50, still 50, 60, still 60, whatever.
Right.
You might be able to do a little bit better than the other person, but the Bible lets you know after so often that it's only so much you can do physically.
Right.
So, like I say, the thing is that we have to be renewed every day. And we have to be renewed all the time. Because it's telling you that the carry and worries of the world will just wear you out. Drains you. Physically and mentally and spiritually.
Right.
That we constantly test it. Especially we expect it from people outside that don't like it, but the ones that hurt the most, I think, is the one from the inside.
Inside.
Right.
Your own family members, your own church members, your own supposedly friends.
Mm-hmm.
They could be more of a test to you than anything.
Yeah.
Especially for me, I speak for myself, you know.
Right.
But that's always, you always
Yeah.
have the test, and it comes
Yeah.
between, you know, people who you love the most.
And you say, where did that come from, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I had to learn to not bite on ignorance. And to be forgiven, you got to forgive.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's the hardest thing to do.
Right. Right.
Like Tony said, even your own family members.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when you tell people like, I don't do those things that I used to do, then you know what you get back. No, I don't think gonna last. And you know, all that kind of
It happens
Living
though.
stuff.
That's the first thing that happens. They always say, it's like I said earlier, it's like when you're trying to be happy in the Lord and your spirit is happy, and they seem to cut you down. You know, and it's like, again, you're my best friend. You know, you my heart, and now I see you putting me down like I'm nothing. You know, but we have it. You know, it hurts. It does. It truly does hurt. It truly does hurt.
and it kills my pride. It really kills my pride.
Mhm.
It kills my pride even to say hi to them the next day.
Mm-hmm.
But I do and go just keep it moving.
And that's why, I say, it's the most difficult thing to do, to even knowing that God is renewing your spirit. And some of us just now heard that today, because everybody, different verses comes. When you see it, and you probably didn't know that God renews your spirit every day. And that's like, wow, I didn't even know that. When people, that can be an encouraging thing to understand for people that's having issues, is that when you're thinking you're dead, you do not have to wake up in the same spirit that you went to bed in. You don't have to. Your spirit is renewed every day. So you don't have to wake up and carry the burden that you had last night or the week before, because he's renewing your spirit.
But listen to what you're saying.
Mhm.
You're saying you don't have to. That implies that you have a choice. You can either carry over from last night, or you can actually turn over a new leaf that next morning.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard, I'm gonna speak for myself, okay? It's very hard to pick up that new leaf and run with it, because it's so much easier, and I'm thinking that this is for most people, but I'm speaking specifically of myself. It's so much easier to hold over that hurt, that anger, that bad spirit, that curse, that evil, whatever you want to call it, and carry that forward,
Mm-hmm.
because it is your best friend.
Mm-hmm.
It is your family member,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
It is your best friend, your family member, your co-worker, your confidant, your
Mhm.
spouse, your partner,
Mhm.
whoever it is. And that hurts especially deep.
Mm-hmm.
So what you want to do in retaliation, what I want to do in retaliation, is hurt them back.
It's hurt them back. Right. Right.
And so, to put that to bed, I've always heard this, don't let the sun go down on your wrath.
Mm-hmm.
Say you're sorry before you go to sleep, because you don't know if you're gonna wake up.
Absolutely.
A lot of people say, I don't care,
Yeah.
if I don't wake up the next morning, I'm gonna get this sucker.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, people, depending upon their relationship with God, that's what allows them to either hold on or pick up and carry on.
Mm-hmm.
The deeper your relationship is with God is, the easier it is to pick up and carry on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say right now for myself, I struggle with it quite a few times.
Right.
And I think that I have a pretty good relationship, but I struggle.
All of us do. All of us do. All of us struggle with letting go. Letting
See,
go.
that's where our maturity level comes in at.
Yes.
As we learn that we're gonna have to let go if we want to be with God.
Mm-hmm.
What if he didn't let go? Or some things that we did that made him angry,
Right.
mad? Where we think we'd be at? So we need to think about that. For us to mature and go further and be in a deeper relationship with God and be his child, we have to learn to let go.
Right. Right.
That's what I'm, that's what I do. I just learn not to be so sensitive when people blur out me and say mean things, and be so sensitive. Lord, the Holy Spirit keeps telling me ignore. And then when you're happy, you expect the devil to come and challenge you, try to, he tries to give you bad days sometimes. He comes and see, it's like he's gonna see whether we can take it. We expect him to attack us too. We got a lot of joy. We expect a spiritual attack from the dark side.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when James said in first chapter of James, he said, verse 2 said, count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds. For you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness, and let steadfastness have a full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing.
Right.
That you need to expect these things, and that they're going to come your way, even more so. And I often think, and in my opinion, oftentimes in church, we don't tell our people what they get into when they come to church.
Right.
They get on the impression everything gonna run smoothly, they're gonna straighten their lives out, everything gonna run good. And I tell them it's gonna be just the opposite. All hell is gonna come your way. Your relationship might be falling apart, you might lose your job, anything. But don't let that discourage you, because that's the devil coming after you, Satan coming after you. But we know a lot of people get the impression because they join church and turn their life around, everything will run good.
Right. Right.
And for a while, we need to tell them, let them know it's going to run the opposite for a long time.
For a long time.
Just to get you farther back and push you back further.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they come at you even harder.
Yeah.
New level, new devil.
Right.
But we just think that rosy picture, rose-colored glass, everything going to run smoothly. Everything going to be lovely. Boy, they don't know.
No, they don't know. But when do you, because it's hard for you to realize that when you so down and out, God is pretty much in most people's mind. It's not the first person you think about. When you're down and out, you in the slumps, and you thinking about, I'm in the slumps. I can't believe I did this, or I can't believe somebody did this to me. But again, our first reaction to what we're supposed to be spiritually is supposed to be reaching out to God. But we don't. We don't. It's whatever, just like you said, I'm gonna get this person back. Not saying that I'm gonna pray for this person. I'm gonna pray for this person. Maybe they just had a bad day. It ain't nothing about that. It's about, I'm gonna get you back. Period. I am not gonna let you fire off on me, and I'm not gonna sit here and let you just, walk over me.
But see, that's the world, though.
Right?
We still in that worldly mind of thinking.
Yeah.
We still at that worldly way that we have to try to get out of it. And like I said, it's definitely not easy. And you can't do it by yourself. You have to do it through the help of God.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that we have to realize that first, and then admit it, and then deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times we don't want to deal with that, though.
No, we don't.
Let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Derek Chauvin, the one who killed Mr. Floyd.
Okay.
How many of you cheered when he was pronounced guilty?
How many people cheered? A lot.
Then how many turned around and prayed for his soul?
Probably not many.
Probably nobody.
That was the last thing on my mind, to be honest with you.
And see, that's what I said.
Perfect.
That's a perfect example. It is. I'm going. He got his. No, I'm not going to pray for. And that's why,
In fact, I said, is that all he did? I wanted more. What's called? Like I said, I definitely wasn't happy truth about that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. but it's going on, guys. It's going on with us, you know. But we in the world, you know. We in the world, and we try our best to live through God's eyes and through God's faith and with His grace. But again, we here on earth, and we just don't like to be pushed around. As African Americans, we definitely don't like to be pushed around. You know, we don't like it.
Well, it is because we've been behind the 8 ball since day one. We've been over here, thrown over here first. Not because we wanted to come in, but we were tricked into coming over here. And then we've been behind the 8 ball since. So you got that thing that's always working against us anyway. So, you know.
But we don't like it. We don't like to be pushed around. Right.
Yeah.
We're gonna go ahead and turn into. I really don't want to start this one because this is gonna be a long one. But we can go ahead and start in Job, chapter 1, 13 through 19. You can go ahead. We can try. Yeah, go ahead and talk about those, and then we'll just start on Job next week then.
So what are you going to then?
Huh?
What are you going to?
Right now, he's going to go ahead and talk about some problems and stuff, but we're still going to we can get Job out, Job chapter 1, 13 through 19.
Yeah, we was talking about how these invisible giants or monsters that we have with problems, that, you know, you can't see them, but you know they're in the room. Like, for example, racism. You know, you can't prove a lot of times why you didn't get your job. You can't prove a lot of times your house costs more, 3 times more than the guy next to you, and he's the white guy. But all these things are things that weigh us down and puts a burden on us as Christians, that we can't be obedient, that we can't learn to forgive. All these little things add up, and if you don't get a hold of them, they definitely weigh you down and weigh you out. So the problem that we face, you know, like right here, it's talking about the lion. They use an example how he's much stronger. He's like 500 pounds, but he also look how fast he can run. He can run 35 miles an hour. His eyesight supposed to be 5 times better than a human. So, you know, he can probably see you 2 miles off before you even know he's there.
Yeah.
And then he said he clawed you. You know he clawed to rip you apart. Just think what David faced if he knew all this. If David knew all this background information, he never would have fought the lion or the bear or whatever. But he knew God.
Right.
He knew God was still bigger than and more powerful than all these things, the creatures that David ran into. Because, you know, David would always remember David before he even fought the giant. He ran into the lion, the bear, and all that. And those things were stepping stones for his confidence. If he can handle these animals, what can a man do to him? I don't care how big the man was. So God is a lot of times preparing us for bigger and greater challenges with these little obstacles we run into. But we just have to learn to trust God.
Right.
Remember that if He bring you to it, He's not gonna let you just lay there or fail. He'll bring you over it or bring you through it.
He'll bring you through it.
So, you know, but we have to keep reminding ourselves, and that's what we're talking about, the renewal, the refocus, the rethinking, the restudying. Because if you don't do these things, that world will tear you up out there. And I was just thinking about my niece and nephew, teenagers and all that. How many problems and situations they have to worry about nowadays.
Yeah.
When we had teenager houses, I know I'm going back years, but it was so simple then. Back then, everything's a big deal. You got to worry about people on the internet tearing you up.
Yeah.
You got to worry about people bullying you, you know, going to your job. You got to worry about people can't even go in a mall without somebody getting ready to shoot you. You know, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
It's just so much that they have to worry about out there today that we didn't even have to even worry about, you know. And it's just amazing how things get more complicated than they should ever be.
Yeah. But again, it's the difficult stuff is that we're not making our kids go to church.
Yeah.
We're not making them go somewhere that they don't want to go. We don't want to make them feel
And
uncomfortable.
it gets back to obedience again.
Yeah.
Discipline.
Yeah, we're not.
Instead of make anybody give rules and regulations, we give them choices.
Choices, right.
And then like I said, the world give you choice out there. If you do wrong, you get caught, you go to jail, or you get hurt, or shot, or whatever. But the thing is that's why we have a problem with a lot of times with just not only the children are not obedient, just with the adults are not. You know, we still think we can do what we want to, when we want to, and how we want to. Anything we do as we grow as Christians, there's consequences to everything. Whether it be good or bad, it's a reason for it's got to be answered some way or another.
Right.
And we know that, but we act like we don't.
Yeah. But again, we carry too much burdens. We all carry all our burdens on our shoulders, on our backs.
And as we learn to take our burdens to the Lord and leave them there.
Yeah. Well,
Not the way we want them, or just part of them, or some of them, you know. Some of them we want to hold on to because we want to deal with them.
again, we're trying,
Like
to deal with things ourselves. We're not going to fix it. It's not going to get better. It's not. It's just not going to be better. Put God first. We have to learn to put God first in everything that we do. We got to learn to put God first in everything that we do. Stop trying to take care of things ourselves. Stop trying to take care of things ourselves. But again, it's in our nature. Right? That's an excuse. It's in our nature. It's in our nature. That's an excuse, right? But again, it's hard. It's hard for all of us to go through our daily walks. You know, because y'all don't know what I go through. I don't know what y'all go through. But one thing's for certain is that we do go through things together sometimes, and we do go through similar things, but we don't know it all. Even though, you know, everybody cannot help you. Every person, anybody can't just help you. You know, you know, you start breaking down and you cry to somebody, the first thing they say is, I know what you're going through. I know what you're going through. But it's exactly this, you know, you don't know what I'm really going through. You know, and it happens, you know, but again, we have to learn to be there for each other. We need to have each other's back in all ways instead of, like I said, always being an ear for somebody and then you mouthing it off to everybody else and their mama. You need to learn to keep silent and keep that in. If somebody's coming to you to talk, they come in to talk to you, not talk to you and then your mom or your sister or your brother and your auntie and uncle and then his friend and then it gets back to you. Then you like looking crazy, you know. Learn to keep things to yourself. Somebody, you know.
Why often do church people go to worldly people to help solve spiritual problems? I never did understand that.
We
you know,
do.
We oftentimes we want to go to these psychologists or sociologists, whatever, and he's not trying to no clue of church or could care anything about church, but he's gonna help solve your problem.
Yeah.
He had nothing spiritually to help bring you together, but he has something that works in the world. We keep trying to apply it, and I think it's a lot of times we get in trouble a lot of times, even the churches. We try to solve everything through worldly situations instead of doing spiritual way of doing things.
Yeah, we do. It's in us. It's hard for us to break out of it. It is. It's just hard for us to break out of it. It is. Truly. We can go ahead and go to, anything else, Tony?
That's pretty much about it.
That's pretty much it. We can go ahead and go to Job chapter 1, 13 to 19. If somebody can read verse 13 and 14, anybody?
Now there was a day when his sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house. And a messenger came to Job and said, the oxen were plowing and the donkeys feeding beside them. Luke 15. When the Sabines raided them and took them away, indeed they have killed the servants and the edge of the sword, with the edge of the sword. And I alone have escaped to tell you. While he was still speaking, another also came and said, the fire of God fell from heaven and burned up the sheep and the servants and consumed them. And I alone have escaped to tell you.
So what was Job? What would you think Job was thinking at that time?
What else could go?
What else could go wrong? And that's what the first thing we think of when something, we having a bad day, we say, what else can go wrong? What else, what else can happen? And that's just us.
And remember, Job wasn't a bad guy now. Job was special in God's eyes. That he looked at Job throughout all the world, look at this man who does everything I want to do. He serves me daily. He helps others in need. He's willing to share and open his heart to everybody. And he still, and this happened to him.
He said, what else could happen? What else can happen?
You know, when I was a kid, maybe a teenager, I would see the bootleggers making tons of money, and we struggling. You know, my dad was only making maybe $40 a week, and they spending $40 an hour probably. I said, you know, well, why is this? I mean, why is their life so good and we are struggling? But you know, I didn't know.
Yeah. And we sleep, they sleep, and then you working and try to work all day and wore out. And then that's the perception that the world gives us, you know, that Satan pulls that rug over our eyes, deceives us, you know. That they always seem like that grass is green on the other side.
It is. They got more than I do.
Right. For that particular moment. We don't see what price they paid off, you know.
Right.
David said something about that in Psalm 73.
They got more than I do, so I should have more than they do. I should. You know, why I ain't got those, you know, as the kids say right now, why don't I have those shoes? And they go out and do whatever they can to get them. You know, I refuse to buy shoes over $100. I never. That's just me. I told y'all a long time ago, I grew up on Payless, so I'm okay with Payless. I'm okay with Payless. I ain't never bought no shoes over $100. It still ain't. Still ain't. That's just me. They say I'm old-fashioned and old, so I guess. That's just me. So we're gonna go ahead and end today on Job chapter 1, 13 to 16. And we'll go back over that next week and then go ahead and finish up Job chapter 1, 13 to 19. And then if y'all want to write these down and save them, so y'all got Job 1, 13 to 19, and 1 Samuel 17, 32 to 33.
Repeat that, please.
Yeah, I was 1 Samuel 17, chapter 17, 32 to 33. And Judges, chapter 7, 2 through 7. So I'm repeating for Frida.
You know I have a choice.
Job, chapter 1, 13 to 19, 1 Samuel 17, 32 to 33, and Judges 7, 2 through 7.
Could I say something about being overwhelmed?
Yes.
Well, you know, when you examine yourself, you know, sometimes, because you have to realize you shouldn't get too hungry, you shouldn't get too angry, you shouldn't get too lonely or too tired. And you can alleviate your problem, that'll help you. You know, you examine yourself and make sure you're not too hungry, too angry, too lonely, too tired. That works for me. You know, sure does. But I might need to rest, I might need to eat more. I might need fellowship with somebody.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna end that today. I hope we took some time out for each other to to get some of each other's points of view. Again, I encourage everybody to just, we here to learn and to give your opinions and respect each other's opinions, and that's good. I love it that we're able to do that without arguing, except myself and Frida. But I love it that we can still have mass participation, and I'm glad to see everybody here. I'm truly happy for that. I don't have anything else. Anybody else want to pray us out?
Heavenly Father, we thank you